Go. And then I can share my screen. And I'm going to switch around a little bit sharing my screen, but let's start here. So here it is. So this is the GitHub repo. And you can see, right, that earlier today, Buki pushed some changes. There's been a bunch of commits since we started. And I always like looking, right, in case you've never noticed this before about GitHub, every folder you can see when it was last edited, right? And so certain files, we don't expect them to change very often, right? You might only touch your config files or your package.json at the beginning, right? But then ongoing work, for example, about page, it looks like was just worked on 3 hours ago, you can see what was most recent, right? So I like that. This is not just one data point right here. Now, switching to my VS Code. I, of course, don't have the changes that Buki just made to the About page. So watch this. I can actually open that page. Oh, look, I don't even have that page yet. Nice. Okay, so watch. We're not even going to watch the About page. We're just going to watch the file structure right here.
Mr. James, the
Yeah.
screen is too small.
Yeah, let me zoom in. Is that better?
Okay. Yep.
I was just noticing that as I was talking to. Okay, so watch the file structure here. Watch how this changes just by me typing git pull. Yeah, I'm in the right directory. And because I pulled this down from GitHub originally, everything is configured. So when I type git pull inside of this directory, it knows where to pull from. So let's see, git pull, and then again, watch over here for the changes. Okay, wow, all sorts of great stuff just showed up, right? Here's the About page that Buki was working on. There's a blog started here, right? There's some other styles that were added down here, it looks like. Excellent. Cool. So we want to go in. Let's just, for example, open up the About page here. Looks good. There's a cover image. There's some styling. And copy npm run dev. Cool, it's loading up. Oh, wow, this looks great. Oh my gosh. Excellent. Okay, oh, actually, you know what? Let me see. Can I just share a section of my screen? Yeah, let me share. This. All right, you can see VS Code now, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then I can pop in the work you've done so far. Hey, congrats, this is looking really good. This looks really, really good. So that background image, I know that was one thing that both of you were trying to work on. That looks fantastic. I think we probably need a little. Go ahead.
This is Buki, though.
Okay. Well, good
This is
job.
only Buki. Buki is the only one that worked on it.
Buki, well, if you're watching this video, Buki, nice job. This looks really, really cool. And I think the one thing I would change on this right away is we got to add some margin or padding over here on the left-hand side. But besides that, dang, this looks very good. Okay, very exciting. And you can see there's room for more text right here. Cool, so that's good. Learn more link, right? That's going to go somewhere eventually. And she added some rounding here. Faye, when you mentioned that you're working on responsive designs, what page were you thinking about first?
I'm working on a blog. Click on the blog page, the blog link, yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, good. Oh, cool. And you've already got these links. Now, did you go through, you went through the Next.js tutorial about how to build a blog?
Yeah,
Any questions about that?
not really.
Okay, good. So, and,
I only
and
have issues with the tailwind. I only have issues with tailwind, like the responsive, and also you can see it looks really scattered here. But on my screen, it was well arranged. But because of the I don't know responsive, that's why it looks like this.
that's, you know what, that's actually a really key point, is that you can design something that looks great on your screen, but that doesn't always translate to every screen. So responsive, okay, cool, this is perfect, we can fix this. This is great. Let's just focus on these blocks down below first. Okay, so these blocks, when I go out of mobile mode, these look great. I think this is probably very much what we want it to look like. But of course, when we go into mobile, they're too thin. So one thing we want to do is on small screens, we want this object to take up maybe all of the screen, right? It's okay if this goes all the way to the edges. That'll probably look good. So let's try to do that. So I'm going to go into the blog index page here. And here, I don't need the terminal right now. Good. And what we have so far, we've got these placeholders. So there's a couple of things I wanted to do. One is, yes, let's work on the responsive part. But then also we can do a little component. We can make some components out of these. We have a layout over here. Yeah. Let's try to make components out of these blocks right here so that we don't have to rewrite all of these utility classes every time. Okay. Yeah, that should be our first and foremost focus today. And so we're going to do two things right now. We're going to extract all of this styling that you've done here so that this can be a reusable block. And while we do that, we're going to make it responsive. All right. So first things first, I notice, right, and the reason for this, just to be clear, I noticed that line 30, for example, is the same as line 43,
Yes.
and it's the same as line 56, right? So this is an example
Yes.
of a time when we say, okay, perfect. And you're doing this, what you've done so far is perfect. This is actually precisely the order that you want to work in, right? You're just testing out some designs, you're putting this on the page. That's great. And now we come to the point where you say, okay, I don't want to keep repeating myself. I want to turn this into a component. I also notice that you have a div here and then a div inside that. I think we're just going to be able to combine these two lines. So first, let's go up to components. And there's a few different ways we can handle this. Just to show you, what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to create one file called cards.js. Okay. And there's a few different ways to export content. In this footer, for example, we have a single export default function, and that function is called footer. Fine. So, and in this case, the name of the file matches the name of the exported function. You don't have to do it this way, though. instead of saying export default and then matching the file name, we can just have export. We can skip the word default, and we can just export a bunch of different things. So for example, I could export a blog card right here. Actually, I should write the word function though. Export function, blog card, and then we're going to have a return inside of that. Okay. And just to show you this, okay, let's do this. Let's return a div, and we'll say, and we'll put a paragraph inside of that, and we'll say this is a blog card, right? And then I'm going to make another one that says export function, and we'll call this one another card, right? You can call these things whatever you want. And let's say return. This is going to be another div, and this one's going to say this is the other card. Okay. And the reason I'm doing this right now is just to show you how it works, and then we're going to get a little bit more technical. Okay, so let me save this. Remember, the critical difference here is I have as many functions as I want inside of this single file, and none of them say default. None of them are the default export. When I imported the footer, oh, that in the layout component. Yeah, okay. Here's my imports for the nav and the footer. And look at the syntax here. Nav is just the name of the class, and where is it from? It's from this file. Same thing with footer. But you've noticed sometimes imports look like this. I'll write import, right? And then we'll use some curly brackets, and we'll write some things, right? Thing one, thing two, that we want to import from somewhere. Okay. And the difference between line 2 and line 3 is that these come from a file like this, where there's no default export. Whereas when you don't use the curly brackets and you're just able to say import footer from footer, the reason you're able to do it this way is because the word default is right here. Really key point. Okay, so where do we want to use these cards? Well, once you create some cards in a file like this, you can use them anywhere in your project. And right now, we're going to use these cards in blog page. Let's close footer for now. So up at the top of the file, right? Importing styles is different from importing components. So I'm not going to talk about this line right now, but right here, right, in the next library, in the code that is running under the hood in next, image is a default export in a file called image somewhere, right? We want to use these cards we just made. We want to import blog card from where? Let's keep going back until we can see our components, and from cards. Okay, so now I've imported blog card, and let's go down. Let me just put this, and you know what? Let me give blog card. I'm going to make this really ugly just so we can see it. Okay, I'm going to give it a BG green 300, and we'll just make it a square, right? 40 by 40. All right, just so we can see it. We're going to fix this in just a second, but I just want it to be clear where this thing is showing up. And then let's put this card here. All right, so we're going to keep line 31 where you set up the flex columns. That's great. And I can do a closing bracket like that because blog card is just going to stand on its own. All right, save that. And let me go out of this layout over here, bring this back. All right, where's my blog card? Here's my blog card. There it is. All right, light green with some text inside, 40 by 40 square. Fine. All right. Now, one question I hope you have is, all right, fine, you can make a blog card with some text inside, but what if you want the text to be different each time? Here's how you do that. Because what I really want, I don't want to just do this kind of single tag. What I really want is blog card tags that look like this with some text in between, right? But if I save this, even though I wrote some text in between, those words, some text, they're not showing up anywhere. How do I get the words, some text onto this card? Here's how. Let's go back to this blog card. And this is where you're going to use parameters for the object. So right here, I'm going to write curly brackets, children. Children are just anything that's inside of these tags that we're making right here. And now if I replace these words, this is a blog card, with children in curly brackets, what that means is that every time you use this card, whatever's in between those blog card tags is going to show up on the card. Watch. Save this. And now, sure enough, the little box here says some text on it. So that's what we want to do. We want to make this blog card look like this. And we want to be able to put all this text in between those blog card tags. You two keeping up okay? I can't see you, so I can't tell if this is making sense, but are we good?
Yeah, it's good.
Good. All right, so let's keep going. But just jump in and stop me if I say something too fast or if I don't tell you enough details, okay? So where does the style for this come from? Well, Faye, you already did a lot of the hard work, right? You figured out that you want the style to look like this. So let's use it. I'm going to take these styles. I'm going to put them here. Save that. Okay. And now some text is different. It looks like it's centered vertically, but I can't see the borders of this yet. And that's because
you did not copy the actual style. Don't mind me. I like putting my cards on deep. Yeah, that's where the style is. That was the border
exactly.
shadow. Yeah.
Exactly. And so you know what? These don't really have to be separate divs. I can actually take everything you wrote here, and I'm just going to include it in the very same line right here. Let me wrap the text. And let's just make sure there's no redundancy. So I see that you have PL and PR. Then there's more padding here. So we might want to think about that. The rounding and the background look great. The margin at the bottom looks great. So here's two things I'm going to do. Let's just for a moment get rid of this P4 right here just to see what it looks like. And just a tip, what you don't have to write PL and PR separately, right? Because those are left and right. That's the x-axis, just like in algebra class. So instead of writing PL and PR separately, I could just write PX4 to do the same thing. All right, let's just save this to see what this looks like. All right, not quite like we want it to look yet, but part of the reason for that is just that it's fitting to the content. And so actually, if I put this content in here, it should end up looking pretty good. Okay, I already see the rounded edges. I see the shadow, right? It's just that we're not telling the browser how big to make this card. We're just putting some content inside of it and filling it up. So I think actually this should work. Let's just try this. I'm going to go back here to blog page. And I'm going to here, I don't need this file structure, I guess. Okay, good. I can see that better now. Let's replace lines 35 and 36 with blog card. Okay. And then these two divs, we don't need those anymore because those were the closing divs. And then let's just take this block. And on my device, I'm holding Alt or Option and pressing the up arrow just to move this code up. There. Now, if I save this, this card right here is my new blog card. These are the ones I haven't changed yet. And I do notice that the padding is missing at the top and the bottom. And I'm not surprised by that because I got rid of that P4. Okay. So there's two ways we could treat this. Basically, and here, let me just go through while I'm here. Let's make all these into blog cards and then we'll try to make them look a little bit better. Because I know I'm getting rid of some of your formatting here, but I'm going to bring it right back. All right, there's blog card number 2. Get rid of these divs here. And then same thing here. And we'll bring those up. Cool. Get rid of these 2 divs. Save. Good. There's our blog cards. Now, I got rid of the margins, so there's no gap in between them anymore. And I got rid of the padding, the P4 all the way around this thing, so we're going to want to add that again. But now, look how beautiful this is. Now, instead of going here and up here and changing all these numbers over and over again, now I only have to change them once in my component. Now let's do just a little addition here. You had PR and PL were 4, and then you had an additional P4 around the whole thing. So if we add those together, it seems like maybe we want PX to be 8, 4 plus 4. And then we want PY in the vertical direction. Maybe we'll leave that as P4. And now that I've got a component, I could just change this as many times as I want until it looks like I want it to. That looks pretty good. That's pretty much where we started, right? How about margins? Maybe we want, whoops. Oh, gracious. Okay. Maybe we want some margins on the left and right. I see that we have a margin on the bottom of this thing. Bring this over here. And that bottom margin is actually going to be helpful on mobile. So let's leave that there for now. But maybe I also want an MX of 2. Here's what MX2 looks like. Or I can make it MX4 and put a little bit more space in between those. What do you like better, the last one with MX2 or this one with MX4? Oh, Bookie's here too.
MX4 looks better.
Okay. All right. And it's easy to change, right? All right, let me get rid of this one because we don't need that anymore. That was just our test. So I'm going to go back to blog page, just get rid of this card with some text on it. All right, let's take it a step further. Hey, Buki, welcome. Sorry about the connection problems.
Hello, Mr. James.
It's good to hear your voice, my friend. Nice work on the About page. I was really excited about it. And great work. We'll look at that again in just a second, okay?
Thank you, Mr. James.
We're recording this so you can go back and you can kind of see what we've been working on so far.
Okay, Mr. James.
Let's do this component thing now as well for this header here, because this is another place where you are repeating the same thing over and over again. So once again, this is where we say, okay, I did it this way so I could kind of figure out what I want. And the way you did this is perfect. A lot of people start this way, but then at a certain point you say, okay, I've been repeating this. Let me extract this and turn it into a component. Well, where should this one go? I have a component called cards. What if I make another component called type, right? And this is where I can put all the different kinds of text that I want, right? Typefaces, fonts, whatever. Well, this is an H3 and you've styled it, right? Let's just make a component here, export. I'm not going to say default, right? I'm just going to say function. Let's call this header 3, right? Or heading 3, whatever you prefer, okay? I'm going to do heading actually because header means something else as an HTML tag, right? So let's do heading 3. We know we're going to want some children here, just like we did on the card. And what are we going to return? Well, we're just going to return.
Yeah, Mr. James, I also had issues with this header. I had really issue with it.
Let's take a look at that too, okay? Let me finish this one and then we'll go take a look at the header. I'm going to grab this H3 tag right here, put it here, put the children inside of it and save it. Now, same approach up at the top. I'm going to import. It's not a default, so I need the curly brackets. Which type am I importing? Heading 3. From where? I'll just keep using autocomplete until I find components, and then I'm using type. And now I can go down here and I can replace this. I'm going to press Control D on my keyboard to highlight all 3 of these lines that look the same. And then I'm going to change it to heading 3. Then I'm going to go down here to these H3 tags, press Control D once again. So those are all highlighted, right? And we're going to make that a closing heading 3 tag. I can save it. And the fonts look the same. I can then, if I ever want to make changes to those, all I have to do is change it once, right? If I decide I want to use red font instead, I change it once and it's changed everywhere, right? If I decide I want that text to be bigger, I change it once and it's changed everywhere. It's the beauty of components. Okay. Now, obviously that text is too big and I'm going to leave that blue, but you get the idea. Cool. We could also do this for paragraph. And so just to show you that you can be using multiple, right? I never even used the another card here, but I could have imported this. But instead, I'm going to show you the example of creating my own paragraph tag. Okay, so export function paragraph with children. We're going to return, oops, parentheses. Let's grab what's here so far, just text justify, right? Return this with the children inside every time. Now, if I just go through here, Control D, and I write paragraph, and then I go down here. Okay. Of course, this is going to give me an error because paragraph is not defined. How do I fix that? I go up here. I just make sure that I'm also importing paragraph from type. Save that. And now there's no more errors anymore. Okay. And we haven't changed the way this looks at all. All we've done is made it easier to make changes to this paragraph style later, if you want to do anything to that font. And this works across your entire site, right? This goes beyond just one page. When you use components like this, you can have one file with all of your types inside. And on any given page, right, you might have 12 different exports here for 12 different kinds of font across your site or whatever. And then on any given page, you're just going to import the ones you need. VS Code does a really nice job automatically importing once you create something. So actually, yeah, let me show you this too. Let's make another export. I'm just going to copy this. And I'm going to call this one heading 1. And let's make another one called heading 2. Let's make heading 1 have H1 tags. Let's make heading 2 have H2 tags. Let's make heading 1 even bigger, like 5XL, and let's make heading 2 3XL. And we can leave the color the same for now. You can play with the different colors. Actually, you know what? Let's make this one even darker, right? Like 700. And let's make this one like 600, right? You can go back and change all this later. Once I save this, this is the part I want you to see. Let me, let's take this women in blockchain hashtag and women in Cardano. Let's make this one an H1 and this one an H2, right? Just so you can see what's happening here. All right, let's find this spot. Here it is, right? And watch line 4 as I'm working here. So I'm going to go here. Let's delete this and delete this. Let's get rid of this. And let's get rid of this. Then, all right, again, watch line 4. When I type heading 1, okay. Oh, it didn't happen automatically. I don't know what I did to get this set up. There's a way you can set this up so that it automatically shows up here once you use something else, but for some reason that didn't happen yet. Okay, I have to look that up because for some reason that works, but I don't know what I did to make that work. I forget. All right, so there's heading 1. In any case, let's do a heading 2. Oh, it worked that time. You see that? Not sure why that worked there. Sure, if we go back to the recording, we can figure out what I did differently. In any case, now we have these 2 different headings. Right? And there's the 2 different sizes. You can decide if you want these justified, center, or over to the side, right? Maybe you need a centered heading and a not centered one. That's okay, right? So these are all decisions you can make. While we're here, this paragraph I notice is different from this one, right? So I'm going to let you decide, Faye, if you need to make a different class for this one or if you want that just to be there.
Hello, Mr. James.
Hey, Buki.
Yeah, I'm also having issues with my about.js page.
Let's I want to talk to Faye about, she said she had a header issue, and then as soon as we talk about Faye's header issue, then let's go and look at your about page.
Okay, all right.
Okay. And Faye, what page, do you remember what page that header issue was on?
No, you have already fixed it. My issue was trying, Bootstrap has a header class, a H1, a H2. So I was thinking Tailwind has the same thing. So, but I never knew you could use this text hyphen to XL. So you are just trying to fix it now.
Yes. Yeah. So Tailwind, it's a funny thing that Tailwind does, right? It erases all of the built-in styles of HTML, and some people don't like that, and that's fine. Like anybody who doesn't like that, they're right. You don't have to go this route. The reason I like it is because it gives me full control starting from scratch in my designs, right? There's even an H1 tag in HTML, it actually has some margins and some padding built into that. And so anytime you do your styling, you have to think about the built-in padding and margins that HTML's H1 tag brings with it. Tailwind says, hey, let's erase everything that's built into HTML so that people who are designing can start from scratch and have full control over what they're doing. It's a trade-off, right? So it's actually less convenient. Some people would say, this is kind of ridiculous what I'm doing here, writing all of my own heading tags. But my argument would be, okay, I agree that it's less efficient in some ways, but now I have full control over what all of the headings on my site look like. And I can go to this single file right here, and I can change those, and I can see those changes take place across my entire site. So it's a trade-off, and you can decide if you like it or not. And it's okay if you don't. If you're watching me do this, you're like, this guy's crazy, I'm not going to do it that way. That's totally fine. I just want you to know about this option because it's a really good way for you to be thinking about components, and using components is absolutely essential, right? So like this piece down here, this piece of extracting our blog card as a component, this is 100% best practice. And think about it. Look how much nicer this code looks now, right? It was really overwhelming for us to look at first, but now it's nice and clean. I'm inside a blog card. Inside that, I have a heading 3 and a paragraph. Hey, where did those styles come from? Oh, I go up here. Okay, the blog card style comes from component/card. So I can find that over here. And okay, the heading 3 and the paragraph, that comes from components/type. Aha, there's that, right? So this gives you a way to stay organized and really see what your components are and what they're doing. Okay. Yeah, here's an H2. You could choose to extract this if you want to. So you have all those choices. All right, let's take a look at the About page. And let me switch over to About. Great job again with this background image, Buki. Nice. So what are the issues you're now working with?
Yeah, I won't give myself full credit for the full background image. Although I was able to add an image, but I actually wanted something that would kind of cover the whole span of that section. But then I went through Google and I read an article and they were talking about layout, fill, some of the image classes that comes with Next and Z index and all that. But now, when I want to style other things outside that particular div, it disappears. So I don't know what the issue is. I've tried, I've Googled it up. I don't know why I can't seem to find a solution to it.
Okay. This image, this is the one of the woman smiling, right?
Yes.
And right, exactly. You've got it filled. Cool. Okay. Good. And then you're saying when you
Suppose I want to create another div that contains a text.
should I
Like
do
normally,
should I do it inside
yeah,
of this div, like something right here, let's say?
yeah, something like that.
Let's try it. Okay, so I'll make a div.
Yeah, maybe just write a text there. It doesn't show. I don't know why.
Oh, I see. Hold on. Yeah. Right. So you're right. I see that on this page, the words some text are not showing. Yep. I think I just noticed something. Okay. Yep. And it does have to do, like you said, with the Z index. Watch this. When I refresh the page, I don't know if you'll be able to see this.
Okay.
But watch right here. You're going to see the words some text flash before they're covered up with this image. Watch. You see them flash
Yeah,
there?
I noticed that with mine too. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, so they're being covered up. It does have something to do. So one thing, this is not the final solution, but if I
Okay.
just try writing class name and I give this one like a higher Z value. Oh, nope, it still didn't work. Okay. Yeah, so I thought maybe that would make some text stay there on top, but it didn't. All right. So, but what if and right, you got styles banner. So let's go
Yeah,
to,
that I was supposed to remove that styles.banner because I later switched up some things with the code. So I haven't really styled anything for banner yet.
Good. Okay. There's a few different things we can cover here, and I know we only have 5 minutes. Okay. So, and I'm sorry I can't really go over time today. But let me show you this. Okay. So you've got strong CSS skills. You understand how to take apart these different modules and you understand how to use them in these different files. And you're exactly right. That's how Next works. Tailwind changes it a little bit. All right.
Okay.
This makes it unnecessary to have too many different style modules like this. And what it does instead is it allows us to go and create all of our own components like I'm showing you right here.
Okay.
For things like background images, Tailwind actually has a special way of dealing with this. I'm searching for background image, right? And this is not really what I want. You can see right here, I'm not looking to have gradients. That's really what this is showing me. That's not what I want. But then I go a little farther down. This is the section you want right here. And here, I'm going to take this link and I'm going to put this in Discord for us right now. I'm just putting this link right into our Discord chat room because this is, try playing with this over the next 2 days. And this is where we're going to pick it up together on Friday. Okay. Basically, you go into your Tailwind config file. Let's see, do we even have one of those yet? Yeah, we have a Tailwind config file. We can also come in here later and change the fonts. Let's maybe play around on Friday with this file. We'll play with some fonts. We'll play with some background images. And what you can see in the documentation here is you want to go into the theme object, into the extend object inside of that, and then create a background image. The syntax is all here. You can just copy it. And then you can add images. The URL is simply / and then the name of the file, because that's how Next works, right? So remember this piece, right? This piece right here is just Tailwind in general. But when you're talking about Next in particular, you'll just do a / and then the file name. So we can do /smile. And then you can give it any name you want. That's the key, right?
Okay.
And this is the sentence you want to read right here, right? So whatever name you give it, hero pattern or footer texture, right? BG key becomes BG hero pattern. And what this does then, where do you use this? Well, once you have that image loaded, you no longer need this part right here. Because instead, you'll be able to say class name, right, equals, and let's suppose that you wrote the word smile right here, right?
Okay.
You'll be able to write class name BG smile, and that's going to load the image into the background that's surrounding the whole page.
Okay.
Okay. There's some other things that can go wrong along the way. So I'm going to let you discover those over the next 2 days, and then we're going to pick it up here on Friday. Okay. So don't worry.
Right.
What's probably going to happen the first time you do this is the image is going to be stretched or squished in some weird way. Okay. But this is good. You can play with it, see if you can get it to work. And then this is what we'll do on Friday. So let me just write a few notes here. So Friday, let's get background images working. Buki will try this before Friday. And I'll put the link right here. And then Faye, I know we didn't get to responsive design yet. So the other thing we need to do is say Friday, let's make the blog card more responsive for small screens. And this is a good spot. You can play with this. It's okay if you don't fully get it working, but read through here again and see how you can begin to use these prefixes to make things look different depending on the size of screen they're on. So for next steps, does that sound good? Juan, thanks. I'll talk to you soon.
Yes.
Okay. So let me go up. I'm going to open up my terminal again. And let me turn off my server. I'll say git add everything we just did, git commit m. This is course session Wednesday, 17 March 2021. And then we will git push those back up so you've got access. Hey, thank you both for jumping in and trying these things. I'm feeling really, really excited. I feel like we've leveled up how we're working together. And please, if you see even better ways for us to work, please let me know, okay?
Okay, Mr. James, thank you.
My pleasure, Buki. All right, so we've got some cool next steps. I'll be excited to jump back into these things on Friday, and I'll upload this video so Buki, you can see the first half where we talked about components.
All right, Mr. James.
I think you'll be quick catching up. All right. Hey, have a great day, you two, and thanks for this. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.